to Total Disclosure. My name's Ty Roberts, and I'm your host and creator. Boy, am I happy to be here tonight, guys. We have so much to discuss, and there's just something about coming on with the guys that I'm about to have on that just sparks some excitement in me, I suppose. So without further ado, before we get into it, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to check out the links in the description. You could get your TubeBuddy membership if you're a content creator. It helps with SEO, title suggestions, all that kind of cool stuff that creators don't really think about until you start really getting into the creative process and having to actually market the videos. So it helps with all that stuff. So use code POP. Also, use code Culture Corner 15 at moviepalette.com and get your movie lover their Christmas present or just a present in general. Mine's right here. It's Captain America and the Winter Soldier. So what they do is they compress all the scenes and they color grade it sequentially. So it's the whole movie color graded in a sequential form. So, your partner won't even know it's nerdy. It's great. It could bring a room together, or it could be a centerpiece for a man cave. It's amazing value. Get 15% off. Use code Culture Corner 15. With that, welcome Greg. Welcome Mike. Let's start the motherfucking show.
Hello.
Evening.
The sponsors hate when I say swears, so I figure I'll start the show with one. Yes.
Yeah, it's
I
always
got an
good to-
email. I got an email from Movie Palette like, hey, so like the smoking, and I was like, yeah, and whatever. Like but yeah. As I was saying to you off air, I had asked you, had you guys heard about this Antarctic UFO, and how it's apparently buried in the Arctic under miles of ice, and I think a lot of people don't know that, like, the Arctic, like, it looks like this, and remember 90% is underwater. So, like, of, like, say an iceberg, 90% of the berg is underwater. Well, the Antarctica is like this as well, where it's miles and miles and miles of ice, then water, then more ice. It's like it's unfathomable. Now, could you explain, if you've heard of this, what you know about it, and then obviously, hello to the both of you.
Hello. Before we get into any of that, there has to be a massive, sorry to steal your spotlight, Ty, massive congratulations to Greg for 2 weeks. 2 weeks? Lol. 2 years on Pursuit of the Paranormal.
Oh, shit. Dude. 2 years?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Tonight the episode is
tonight is the anniversary. Oh, well, what time's the show?
Midnight.
It comes out at midnight, yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, happy anniversary, dude. I did not know that.
No.
What's more mental is I'm amazed you've managed to do it for consistently one each week, even with like illnesses and stuff like that. I'm like, that's fucking
We've been
impressive.
through COVID and all sorts.
That's super
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah, man.
Like you, I've been doing this for a few years, and I've taken hiatuses, but content has consistently come out on this channel and podcast, the entire time, and I know what goes into that. So, with, like, the highest of respects, congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, man.
Congrats,
And to whatever the future holds for you, and for all of us, right? I think we're all starting to network a little bit more, and the rising tide lifts all the ships. So,
Like
it.
it.
Yeah. Paranormal New World Order here.
but I mean, so what are your guys' fancy on like the whole idea that there could be crafts that are, or even if you want to open the conversation with what is below the Arctic. There's so much of it that is unexplored. I mean, if we look at this, right? But most of this landscape is unexplored and unknown.
Yeah, it's it's one of those environments that for like Earth reasons and for the good of the planet, that there's legislation in place that people can't mine there. You're not allowed to drill for oil there. I think there's only a certain amount of people allowed to visit and be permanently on there. So it's not a place that is ever going to be mined for whatever it's got there. And as a result, I think that provides a lot more mystery. Loads of people die walking across it. Loads of people. It becomes this inhospitable kind of place where there's secrets could be held. So
yeah, I actually didn't know any of that, to be honest.
And
Yeah.
I think that's so. There is a few countries have installations, military installations
Mhm.
in the Arctic, and it's heavily monitored for outsiders. And back in the day, I can't remember who it was. It was the same guy who flew over the North Pole and did the initial field survey. Also did the Arctic field survey. And when he came back from the
Yeah.
Arctic and from the North Pole, he had said that there were entrances into other worlds
Well,
at both ends of our Earth.
This
And
is the
he
Hollow
wa-
Earth theory guy, isn't it?
Yes, the Hollow Earth,
Yeah.
the original guy, and you know, so that's why I wanted this topic tonight, because this is a topic that stems into so many things. Because could there be? We frequently talk about how we could potentially be inhabiting this planet with an advanced civilization. Not one that's traveling here interstellar, but one that already lives here. Why are the military so keen on keeping these secrets of the Arctic poles?
so you've got people like ultra terrestrials, so beings that have been here for thousands of years, potentially. That is one theory of what aliens, for want of a better phrase, are. So these entities that we see flying around in ships, that are ultra terrestrials that live alongside us, but we don't see them. But I mean, the fact that you're not allowed to mine for oil and like dig for oil, you're not allowed to do all that kind of stuff, is a big thing. I know Russia tries to flex its muscles and whatnot, but if there is something down there, chances are that it would never be found. So
Yes, because it's under so much
I don't know.
ice, and there are also those rumors of well, we know about what was the American voyage down to the Arctic after, and it was like after Hitler went, after the war ended, the United States went down to the Arctic and kind of tried to find whatever the Nazis were doing down there. This is a known mission that had many complications. And rumor has it that the Nazis had built an installation there and under the ice in tunnels, much like they did with secret bases in Germany that we found.
Well, there was a big rumor that, depending on how conspiracy theory you want to get of it, and not that he needs another mention this week, but there was a big rumor that Hitler, when he, instead of killing himself before escaping off to Argentina, he escaped off to this secret facility up in the Arctic, and that was where he was sort of housed for a little bit. So you're right, there is like maybe evidence, I don't know for certain, but there is certainly some talk that there is a facility that the Nazis built up there. But then they were into all sorts of weird shit, right? They were like taking loads of drugs and trying to get into, I think wasn't it like Satanism or something, and trying to do that. They were trying to go around the earth trying to find artifacts from the Bible and stuff. And I don't know if you've seen them, there's all these weird structures that people believe might be like UFO landing landing towers essentially, because it's like a circle on stilts.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, they were in. So it could quite possibly be because they were into some real weird shit.
Yeah. They were into the occult big time.
The occult
Yeah.
was, Hitler was famous for his search for occult objects, right?
Yeah.
And he thought much, and we look at ancient maps, and this kind of ties into Graham Hancock and his whole thing. There's maps that have the Arctic not at the South Pole, but further north. And these are maps that were the basis of other maps. So in at least 2 or 3 maps, the Antarctica is shown further north, as in with the same ridges, the same shape, the same mountain ranges, and everything. So they're saying that it wasn't always covered in ice. So could Atlantis, or some advanced civilization made a home there, and then a comet impact or the faults shift drastically, and then all of a sudden the Arctic is plunged into the south, where it freezes over a matter of months, and just preserves, fossilizes that whole region. So who's to say what's under there? So we could either go the hollow earth thing, where there's an entrance into some fucking area, or that there's a civilization that was literally frozen in time under the Arctic. And I think both are fascinating.
And that also makes sense in the sense of, if you think of like back in prehistoric times when the Earth was one continent, Pangea, and it was all basically bunched up in one area of the world. And then as the continent split and how far they've drifted apart now, so that could make sense that the Arctic was lower down, and as time's gone on, it's just drifted further up. And due to the way the world works, that's when it's frozen over. So you could be right, there was a form of civilization there that's basically just due to the way the world works, drifted up, frozen over, as you say, and preserved it. And isn't there like lots of rumors about potentially ancient diseases potentially being held under the ice, and if one of those gets out, because we're not technically immune to it nowadays, we could be utterly
God
fucked.
Did you hear that they just brought back the zombie virus? And by the way, what you're speaking of is literally what they did. So under the ice, they found that zombie virus. I don't know the actual virus under sheets of layers and layers of ice. They extracted it and brought it back to life and are housing it. And I shared it the other day, like, bro, didn't we just learn our fucking lesson?
Yeah.
No.
Hey, my co-host,
Hey,
Dusty. Dusty, this is Greg from Pursuit of the Paranormal podcast. And this is Paramike from pursuitoftheparanormal.com. And
Paramike's his own entity, dude.
Yeah, he's his own thing. He's his own man.
My own man.
So are you okay? So Mike writes for.
Mike has published some articles on our website around the paranormal, but Mike's actually got his own YouTube channel.
I was getting there, by the way.
Yeah. There he is.
Okay, so Paramike on YouTube as well. And then Mark is my my trusty co-host. So, but we're basically discussing. So let's not interrupt the conversation. What I forget. Where did you just leave off?
Zombie virus.
Oh, yeah. So they resurrected this virus, and now they're housing it. Like, so God knows what could be under that ice, or what technologically could be under there. What keys to our past could be under there. So like, it's like the risk and the reward. Maybe they've deemed it too risky.
Yeah. Maybe it's all like Alien versus Predator, right?
Right.
But it's weird temple under there.
Can you imagine, like you say, Ty, have we not learned our lesson? and you go, what could possibly go wrong? We bring up this ancient virus nobody's immune to. Hey,
Yeah, and it makes COVID look like child's play.
yeah,
This thing would literally, if it got out, would ravish the population.
definitely.
I think they said it was like 20 times deadlier than the bubonic plague.
Oh,
To be honest, man, like considering the amount of money they spend on nuclear bombs to try and kill each other, like it seems like they're always trying to find a way to fucking kill people. So
yeah, it's
sorry, I'll take my tinfoil hat off.
No, keep it on. That's what I want. Now, all right, guys. So the really, the whole Arctic talk kind of delves into what has been seen by certain people. Now, again, I need to preface this in saying I cannot confirm that what we're about to see is actually legitimate photography. We're gonna check it out via Google Earth, but this is now this crater. Now, I guess we should start off with this one. The crater, it seems to show. Now, I've seen this before. I've seen this picture before, but you see in the left side the Apache helicopter, right? Now look at the crater, right? Now the crater. I mean, we're talking hundreds and hundreds of feet, or hundreds of feet in diameter. Big enough to fit at least 6 or 7 of those helicopters. And what we see on the inside is something that looks, for lack of a better term, technological. Now, what do you guys think?
Greg?
It's obviously an interesting picture, but I think sometimes when things are too good to be true, they generally are. They need, and like with anything in this sort of community, this kind of any like paranormal UFO related issues and photographs that come out, there needs to be some kind of context behind it. There needs to be some kind of proof, because Photoshop's a great thing nowadays. It
sure is.
So if you can get the source image from somewhere, i.e. you're pulling it straight from NASA, you're pulling it from Google Earth, for example, or you have the original photograph, that's where you can gain or start to gain legitimacy for the photo.
Yeah.
I'm currently searching it. I'm typing in. Can you guys start reading off from 4 degrees south?
30.
One second.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, 4 degrees south, 30.
Yep.
05.
Yep.
19.3 west.
Okay, I think I have it.
Where do those coordinates come from, though? Because that could just be something totally unrelated, right? Or is that?
I mean,
no, I guess
it's
yeah,
showing it's the crater right
Yeah.
there, right?
Yeah, I see.
Now, I am not pulling up any image, but I don't think I was doing it right.
Yeah, I don't know. I agree with Greg that almost everything could be Photoshop nowadays. And that looks, as I said before, that kind of looks like it's a wheel and a tire sort of thing.
Okay, so there is the crater. The
Okay.
crater is there. I think I just need to zoom out. Okay, so there's the crater that they're
Right.
But this looks radically different than that picture. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
That looks radically different than that.
Does a little bit. I think the problem is because you can't get close enough in Google Earth. without it pixelating. That's where.
Yeah, so how the fuck are they getting the picture?
That's like
Photoshop.
probably like a drone. Yeah, probably like a drone shot or something, isn't it? Because there's people there, so they're
Okay, because that.
boots on
All
the
right,
ground.
so
sort of
let's
thing.
look at the. Okay, so let's look at the shadows then. Ah, God, I don't know. There's
But the other thing you have to think is it's a crater made out of snow and ice, right? So it could be ever changing.
it
It's
could
not
be
like
changing. You have
this
and
photo could be taken
it
5
could be
years ago.
it could be more excavated at this point.
Yeah.
Clearly,
So
there are people that are there.
yeah,
Wait, no. If there were
Maybe-
people that were there, they'd be able to see inside and know what it was, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand any of this.
one of those guys isn't wearing a shirt either. What a maniac!
Maniac.
Wow, look at the landscape, though, huh?
Insane, isn't it? Just
Holy
nothing.
shit. Just absolute nothingness for miles. Holy Jesus.
perfect
I don't
place
think-
for a secret base, right?
Yeah.
I don't think you can truly put into perspective how big this is.
Jesus, yeah, comparative to Australia and New Zealand there.
Holy shit.
And Australia is
it-
misleading because it's like the size of America or
It,
Europe.
it spans the entire globe.
Mm-hmm. Because this folds under the bottom. But
Greg just like, yeah.
the thing is, have you seen a map of flat Earth? So people who proclaim flat Earth, so you've got the Antarctic down there. That is essentially the ice wall around the Earth.
Oh, I got a good flat Earth picture right here. I'll bring up.
We do a T-shirt on our merch store. Just saying.
Wait, what?
You shouldn't fund these people, Greg.
We've got a Flat Earth Society T-shirt on our merch store.
So they
Yeah,
think
similar
the
to that.
Arctic surrounds
Mm-hmm.
the Earth.
Antarctic. Yeah. Round. So on the
So
outside
what is
there,
this funnel fucking thing here?
where at the bottom,
Yeah, what is
that's
funneling?
like the cone of Earth underneath flat Earth.
So they think there's a cone. It's not just flat. It's a cone.
Yeah. So like the top of it's flat.
Oh my god.
Yeah. That's a whole nother level.
I just
If
can't
you
get on
watch
board with it.
Above the Rim on Netflix, it's a documentary where they.
I'm sorry.
They actually...
Hold on. Do you believe the Earth is flat?
No, I do not.
Oh, okay. I was
Just
gonna.
to clarify
I was
that.
literally gonna kick you off right now.
I couldn't think of anything more untrue than flat Earth. And anybody who believes in flat Earth, I can't see where the claims come from.
It
Isn't
makes
there- do you know what the thing? The thing
no
is,
sense.
we're in the age of whatever now, where people think that because science and whatever's lied about a lot, they're like,
Hey, that UFO chick.
that's Holly Ann, right?
Yeah.
No,
no,
she's
that's
that
UAP girl.
Yeah.
Hey,
Oh,
just
okay,
checking
okay,
your
okay.
channel. Atomic Thomas mentioned you on my message today. Yeah, I would love for you to come on the show and have a discussion with us. I used to do movies and I made the radical change to UFO stuff. And, I've got my, I've done some pretty fucking awesome interviews already. And I'm looking to network with more of the community. So we would love to have you on and, talk about UFOs. I mean, what else is there to say,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
I can't
yeah,
do, she says she can't do flat earthers. I
them.
agree. I agree. Dude, if you fucking think the earth has got flat, have that. So, you know what the funniest thing about it is that what they think fucking airplanes do. They think airplanes fly and turn around and do like all the pilots are in on it. Like,
Have you seen the flat Earth flight maps? And they say, when you're going around the Earth and you've got the curvature, but if you're a pilot, the flat Earth movement thinks that is the best route. So you're going from point 1 to point 2, and you're going in a straight line. And they say if you put a flight map on flat Earth, so I don't know if you can I'll Google it while we speak.
I've seen it, definitely. You're
It's
right.
like it's a straight
just
line.
Point 1 to point 2 rather than
Yeah.
actually following any curvature whatsoever.
Yeah.
The problem is with stuff like this, it's due to the modern age where people think that scientists have lied to them about things. They now start to go extremely the other way, and they go, well, what else have scientists lied to us about? That must mean that the Earth's flat, and then people buy into it. But the problem with the argument is, I'm sure the people who believe in it have spent a lot of money trying to prove that the Earth's not flat, and almost every experiment they've done has kind of proved that the Earth isn't flat. And it's like
they prove the opposite every time they try and prove it's flat.
One of them's like sailing a boat, and then it's like, well, if the Earth's not flat, you'll basically see it disappear underneath the horizon line, and then some guys arguing, going, "Oh no, that's not the way it works," and it's like, well, it is.
Is this the flight path you're speaking of?
Yeah.
So just a straight line every time?
Yeah. So they don't actually fly around the curvature of the Earth. It's actually a direct straight flight. So they don't turn.
You know how fucking absurd that is?
Yeah.
Oh
well,
my God.
one of the experiments was that they had a laser beam at like, say, 10-foot high. I can't remember the exact height. And they were saying, okay, we'll do it like 2 miles away. And to prove it's flat, the laser beam will hit
the same point.
It'll be at the same point, at the same height, 2 miles away. And it didn't work. And it's on the documentary, and they're like, I think there's something wrong.
So
they spent fucking loads on it,
bent downward, right?
So it went up. So essentially, it missed the target because the curvature went down.
Right.
The laser just went
down.
The laser went straight, and it hit over.
Ah! You fucking dumb fucks.
And again, they spend thousands, if not millions, on these experiments to try and be like, oh yeah, the Earth's definitely flat.
Well, listen. Let's not say that we shouldn't spend, like, if people want to spend the money to do the research to make sure, like, and they want to keep proving themselves wrong, well, do it. You know what? You're literally just giving us free data to prove you wrong because you're an idiot and you're spending $11 million to do this experiment, which shows that the Earth is not in fact flat, and that's free data for me to use against you later on. So whatever, like, I pay no mind to it. What I do pay mind to is when people like Kyrie Irving, people like celebrities start. Millie Bobby Brown just recently came out and said, I do not believe the Earth is flat anymore. There are celebrities and shit that literally think the Earth is flat.
Dude, like, the thing about this is, you imagine if let's say you're Millie Bobby Brown, and you come out and go, I believe the Earth's flat. And then all of a sudden, you have the Flat Earth Society going, oh, we've got a conference this weekend. Do you want to come and speak at it? We'll pay you fucking X amount of money because you're a celebrity and you'll add weight to our argument. And it's like, sure, I fucking will. I'll say whatever you want for $6 billion.
Method.
Yeah. Look at like the Obamas, who nowadays get paid millions and millions for like a 5-minute conversation. And it's just like, what the fuck? And they might as well go up there and just say like, oh yeah, being the president was all right. It's just like, it's one of those things, isn't it? But people, for some reason, because he's an ex-president, people seem to think that what he says is in such high regard, which it may or may not be, because obviously he's privy to things that the general populace of the US aren't, but still.
Yeah, but the problem is, with a president, you've only got a maximum of 8 years in charge as being chief commander in chief.
They're not going to tell you.
You're a literal temp.
Yeah, they're not going to tell you stuff.
They're not going to tell you anything.
These career
legit.
Bureaucrats that are like, I'm not telling you shit because you're a temporary employee.
Yeah.
Like, I will be here forever. And that's the problem with the United States. I don't know about you guys, but the United States government is the fact that these career bureaucrats have basically operated with, in most cases with these special access programs, with absolutely no oversight. And Congress is currently putting a little bit of pressure, but not enough.
No, exactly. We're fortunate enough in the UK that we don't have the political structure like you guys do. So if a prime minister wants to stay in power and the people vote them in each time, they could be in for life. Technically, we have no rules like in the US where you can serve two terms and you're out.
Yeah.
You could go on as long as the population will let you, and as long as your party will let you. So, which I think would help in this kind of environment. But you can have prime ministers that will last 5 weeks, which we've had recently. We've had like 3 prime ministers this year.
Yeah. So what happened? So why did she resign?
Just quickly before we get into that
Yeah.
UFO chick, York is a lovely city. We went there earlier this year, and it's fucking amazing. So big up you.
I'm gonna come to the UK, and one of you bastards.
You absolutely are. You're gonna come over with Tyler Tran too.
Yeah.
And you're gonna film that Loch Ness Monster documentary that he's on about.
Wait.
Liz Truss.
Ty is actually going.
No, he's not. But he
wants to.
Greg
Tyler Tran. Yeah, he wants to come over and do a US.
I'll go with him.
Yeah.
I love that guy.
Yeah, he's amazing.
They sent me. You put me in touch with them. Yeah. No. So back to the presidential aspect of it, right? Yeah. So the president is rarely since. When do you think the last president to know anything more than the basics
JFK.
was?
JFK.
And
do you think that ties into his assassination?
Absolutely. There's a lot of rumors that JFK
expand upon it, please.
All right, there's a lot of rumors that JFK basically got the mob involved to try and get him in power, and got the CIA involved to try and get him in power. And then once he was in power, he was like, actually, fuck you guys, I'm gonna have to shut you down now, and made a lot of enemies very quickly. It's all hearsay, and until those files are released, which they delayed last year, we're not going to know. But definitely feels like it was him who was the last one who actually knew something, and that's why they had to get rid of him.
Yeah. If you think that they're going to declassify those files, you're out of your mind.
Never in a million years.
Never in a million years that they're going to declassify the JFK files at all. So, but wasn't there a little bit more going on with the whole the Marilyn Marilyn Manson? Oh my God,
that would have been a relationship.
Imagine he was having an affair with Marilyn Manson.
So my understanding is Marilyn Monroe was about to blab her mouth as well.
Of them.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And she was about to talk, and they were like, no, you've become a bit too vocal.
But JFK had nothing to do with that part of it. But because he had kind of washed his hands clean of the whole situation, because his brother found out that he was having an affair with the same person that he was having an affair with. And that's a very awkward situation for two brothers, especially prominent. I'm pretty sure, their political advisors were like, guys, you got to get the fuck out of this situation now. And I think the Secret Service killed her to shut her up, because not only did she have bedside talk with JFK about his in the know about UFOs, and after she was sour that they both cut ties with her, she was going to do a news kind of like Lazar did, but more public, obviously, because it was Marilyn and she was going to have the whole world's attention. And the CIA killed her, because not only would she expose the UFO, but she would expose the biggest scandal with the peachy new president.
But it didn't just stop there, right? Like, look how many of the Kennedy family died. Didn't Robert Kennedy mysteriously die as well?
Yeah, and they killed him later as well, because
fucking
he found out that they killed him over the UFO issue, and then they killed him. That's the long theory. That's the long conspiracy theory. But there is a lot of credence to a lot of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Even mentioned in the Admiral Wilson notes. The Kennedy assassination. Oh, did we lose
Oh.
Greg?
Greg's had enough. He's like, I can't be dealing with this.
By the way, what's up, guys?
What's up,
Hey,
dude?
you finally showed in.
Yeah, my fucking laptop wasn't working very well. Couldn't get it working, so I'm on my iPhone now.
Greg's saying he lost internet. He should be back as soon as possible.
All right. So as a, I literally lost my train of thought. Dusty, our first conversation was about. So what does this look like to you? So this is apparently a picture of a crater in Antarctica.
What the hell is that? What's in the center of it?
That's the question.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, that definitely does not look natural.
It looks technological, if you will.
And if it's under that much ice, it must be thousands and thousands of years ago. Because
Right.
there's a shitload of ice on top of it.
And Mike, Dusty is a legitimate
Flat earther.
no.
Yeah, there's some validity to that, though.
Sorry, dude. We had an entire conversation about flat earthers, and we're all sat here going, "It's such bullshit. It's
God.
not real."
I'm fucking
have you-
dead.
On that topic, have you guys ever seen that video of this guy explaining
Shut up.
a flight from Australia to Argentina? You have to
Shut
go
up.
through fucking California, New York. It's just weird.
This is the exact conversation we've just had.
Is it?
Yeah.
But anyway, someone's got a
What I get
little
for being late.
feedback. I can hear myself.
I think it may be.
I'm gonna mute you one by one. It's definitely not Mike. It's gotta be Dusty.
Yeah, it's on my iPhone, so it's probably me.
All right. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, so basically what they're saying is there could potentially be a UFO buried in the ice, which would date this thing at thousands of years old. And, you know, Dusty is a UFO experiencer. Like, he has
Okay.
one of the most chilling UFO encounters.
That was some spooky shit, not gonna lie.
And if anyone were to be able to like at least see one and be like, you know, all right, it's you know, so what vibes do you get when you see this?
I mean, look, I'm an open book. Like my mind is very open to these type of things. So what I want to see in this is like something that looks like a geometric, like can exist on Earth. And this thing in the middle here does not look like it's natural. It looks like it's mechanical in some sort.
Mike
like
brought up a good point
a
about
turbine.
looking like a tire or
Looks
a
like
turbine.
a turbine, almost right.
Yeah, because it's got like the coils. It kind of looks like, and then
Like it would
the
generate
centers
some
of it.
sort
Yeah,
of lift.
Exactly.
Which
Um,
wouldn't
Bring the other
negate
picture
that
up,
it
Ty,
could be
because
a
there's a better
UFO.
picture.
What?
Bring the other picture up because there's a picture that shows like what looks like some flat metal to it as well.
Now I can't really tell. Is there any like metallic parts to that? Anything like reflecting or anything?
The one that shows there you go. So middle bottom.
Oh, the middle
you see
bottom
it-
one. Yeah.
You can see the turbine, and then you can see what looks like
Yeah,
some more
you know
area
what?
of it, right?
That kind of does
Oh,
look like
wow.
a jet turbine.
Yeah. That is
Huh.
bizarre looking. So when did they find? So where is this exactly? This is Antarctica.
Yeah, in the Arctic. Now we
Okay.
can't say how legitimate it is, if it exists. You know, we did look up on Google Earth. There is a
Yeah.
crater at the location specified here at
Okay.
these coordinates.
Does it match the shape?
It does. It resembles it to a degree, but
Because
we
they
did.
can deep fake these things so well now.
But the thing is, as well, it's ice and snow, right? And there's
Yeah.
dudes excavating it, so that shape could be ever changing.
That's a good
Even
point.
that's not like 100%
Solid, yeah.
Yeah.
So is this being actively excavated?
We don't know. I'm looking more into it, and as the story develops, I will keep you guys updated. But the reason we wanted to I use this as a kind of like a tree of life topic, because out of this springs many conversations about hollow earth, and could there be an advanced civilization that lives inside our earth and has existed here for as long as we have, plus.
Hollow Earth seems pretty far-fetched to me, because then you got to deal with all the physics behind it. Like the working theory is that we have a molten core, a mantle.
Yeah, but
and
we've never
crust.
been down there to actually see it. We
Because
only
it's too hot.
Yeah,
The closer you get to the
no,
core, it gets
that is
incredibly
not the
hot.
reason. That is not, well, that is the reason we can't get down that far. But the only actual data we have to suggest about what is below there is seismographs from from earthquakes. So to say that we know exactly what is inside the earth is an absolute lie.
Well, in Russia, though, they did that during I think it was World War II. They dug a borehole as deep as possible. And they got to a point where it was literally melting the drill as it was drilling.
Yeah, but that doesn't
isn't there
necessarily
also
mean...
Isn't there also like a natural hole in Russia that I can't remember what they call it, like the
Yeah,
devil's hole?
but they
or something.
also found
Yeah.
liquid water 40 miles down. So, just it just depends,
Let's be honest here. Even if the Hollow Earth thing was true, we're not going to be fucking told about it.
No,
Yeah.
no shot.
No,
You know
not at
what?
all.
Have you guys seen Godzilla vs. Kong?
Yeah.
You know
No.
the where they go, like at the end, like it's like in the earth
where
through
they
a
bring
portal.
they bring King Kong into like that, like under the earth thing.
Yeah, that's what I imagine could potentially be down there.
Okay.
Something similar, right?
And then it's also like journey to the center of the earth, like the molten core somehow creates an ecosystem underneath the crust.
Yeah, yeah, and it acts like a sun.
Yeah.
But on the inside rather than the outside, right? It's something we could, that we could talk about. But
well, then also you have the problem with oxygen, though, because animals can't survive without oxygen. You go too high up, there's no oxygen, and I believe you go too far down, there's less oxygen.
Well, who's to say that this life needs as much oxygen? Evolution is a bitch, right? So, we just there are so many unknowns, I guess, variables in this situation. But I mean, what are your thoughts? What are your guys' thoughts that could an ancient civilization have inhabited the Arctic area, or are they currently using it as a base? Why is it so? Why haven't we explored more of the regions?
I think that's more likely to me, because if you look at historically the way humans traveled and like where the Inuit people settled, for instance, yeah, I think that's more likely. In terms of there being a secret base, as Greg was saying earlier, it's all under government legislation.
Yeah.
So we're not allowed to like drill for oil or basically be on there without government permission. So
there's also a no-fly zone over that entire area, right?
Is there? That wouldn't surprise me.
I believe so. I believe you're not supposed to, like, it's an international thing. I believe no one's allowed to fly over that area. Or maybe that's the North Pole. I'm not sure.
Which again would make sense, that if there's something there, you just
they don't want anyone to see it.
Go, yeah. You just sort of go, oh no, you can't go here whatsoever.
I wanna find the guy the guy who claimed that there was entrances at because other people have claimed that there are entrances into the earth at the North and South Pole, and that is why the militaries of the world kind of guard the poles.
Or alternatively, even if there was like we were talking about earlier, like a facility that was built by the Nazis, if you're a government of some sort, you're not just going to give that up, right? If someone else has done the work, you'll just latch onto it. And that's true for all human history. The amount of places we've been where it's like there's the ruins of a church there, but then there's a settlement from the Neolithic period that's been there beforehand. And
Richard Byrd.
We tend to build on top of prior civilizations.
Yeah, that's why they're always uncovering stuff in like farms in Rome, because they just build on top of everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry,
Richard Byrd is the guy who did the first flyover field investigation, observing the North and South Pole, and said that there were entrances or giant holes that could fit an aircraft carrier through them at both the North and South Pole.
And wasn't this like just after World War One or World War Two? Just after one of them.
Yeah, I remember that story as well.
So we're gonna watch a 5-minute clip, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
We can't watch all of it because it's History Channel and they'll take us down. But because I don't tell the story as well as it should be told.
It sure can.
Can you hear that?
Fix your sight issues and use it.
What do you guys have to think about that?
Yeah, so don't buy it.
Yeah, I don't know either, because how would it form, right? If that's a natural, if Earth is natural, how would it form in layers like that?
Well, I'm not
saying.
What I mean? Okay, listen. I'm not saying everything in that video is true. I'm just saying, what are your takeaways from the video?
Crystallized water under the Earth is very interesting.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily 400
miles down.
Miles. But I don't think that necessarily means that there's an entire civilization in the middle of the Earth. Also, the point about a special craft that could fly from pole to pole. If the Earth's hollow, any craft can fly from pole to pole because it's just in one end and out the other, right? Like, why would you need a special craft for it? Unless they're saying that they've got a craft to be able to do it.
Or a high-speed rail system.
Yeah.
Anything would work better than being like obvious as hell flying a spacecraft through this like populated areas. They're just asking for you to get found.
Very interesting, though. I think, with the secrecy and everything, I think, with this one, maybe we chalk it more up to the side of legit conspiracy, whereas the UFOs and everything that's going on right now, like otherwise we kind of know is science fact. This kind of stays in that whole science fiction bubble. So to keep it there, I have more to discuss, especially with you guys being with the backgrounds that you have. Do you think that the delay of this UAP report, right, is something that the UFO community should be worried about, in the sense that, either some government entity outside of the task force is holding it up, or do you think that the report is just going through, normal bureaucratic fucking delays?
I actually hadn't heard about it at all. So,
well, I don't think it's ever gonna come out, honestly. I think it's gonna be one of those things they tease for a while and then it kind of just falls under the.
Well, they're obligated. It's not a choice. Last year on October 31st, they submitted the first one, and they are required by law to submit one by the 31st of October each year until 2026. That's when the current program for that runs out. Whether it's extended or not.
They already blew past all that, though, didn't they?
They're
October. They're already late on this, so they're gonna keep pushing that shit back because they know they can't. and eventually people are gonna fucking forget about it unless people
That's
like
the
us
worry.
keep talking about it.
That's the worry, is that people are going to forget. They're going to try to sweep it
That's what
under
they
the
want.
rug.
That's what they want.
I mean, Mike, you didn't even know that there was a UAP report due.
I'll be the first to admit though that I'm not really too heavy into the UAP side of things. I'm more into the paranormal, ghost, spirit side of things. So that may be why I don't know about it. I don't follow the task
okay,
force too closely, to be honest with you.
To bring that into the mix, do you think that the way that the UAP phenomenon is treated now in government is going to be or set a precedent for the way we look at things like the paranormal, spirituality, and consciousness? Do you think we'll if the UAP, let's call it the process of disclosure, if it is successful, could we see something similar happen with paranormal?
I'd like to think so, but I can't really see it being
Because we
reality.
briefly talked about this
We
last
did,
time,
yeah.
like, how the government might be okay with saying, yeah, there are things flying around that we can't control, but it's a whole nother thing to say, we can't protect you in your own house.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? It's one thing to say there's things in the sky that we can't tell you exactly what they are, but they could be foreign tech, as opposed to going, there's an entity in your house that's chucking things around and we have no idea what it is. Do you know what I mean? As Greg
we
said
can't do
before,
anything about it.
as
Because
Greg
there's so
said
many other
before,
questions. Oh, go ahead.
So as Greg said before, like, stuff in the sky is one thing, but when you start telling people that, oh yeah, there could be stuff in your house, that's when it gets real fucking creepy, because people are like, well, what do you mean there could be stuff in my house? That's
Right.
people's safe place,
Now,
right? So,
now, if the UAP process goes the way we want it and some sort of disclosure happens, do you think people will naturally just start believing more in that field and we won't necessarily need the government to come out and say it?
in the sense that if the UAP thing goes the way you want, people will believe in the paranormal more, or
Yeah, like, so say the disclosure happens and everything goes exactly the way we all want it to, like government transparency, all this stuff, a change in how civilization fundamentally thinks and runs. Do you think then the paranormal would just kind of ease itself into the conversation?
I think some people will. I think for a lot of people, the paranormal and the UAP, UFO phenomenon and aliens are two totally separate different things, which, as we know from the more we look into it, they are more linked, or possibly more linked. Also, like, the paranormal community is hell-bent on cannibalizing itself. No one seems to want to agree on anything. So, like,
Right.
even if it did happen, there'll always be people who will go, well, my belief is paramount because I believe it, so therefore it can't be true. And there's, unfortunately, when you're dealing with pseudoscience that can't be proven either way, i.e. the paranormal, there's tons of that. And there's just people who, like, the amount of infighting I see where some people believe that one thing's a sign of something being paranormal and other people will believe that it's not. And it's just like, I don't think that disclosure on the UAP side of things would actually impact it that much. As I say,
Right.
it's a
Now-
belief-based thing, and people's belief is paramount.
Now, to give Mark a little bit of background on you, can you maybe talk about what you do? Well, not on YouTube, but like, your investigations and stuff like that.
Do you want the origin story?
Yeah.
Okay. So for like, when I was younger, I used to believe in ghosts and stuff, and then I had a conversation with my brother at one point, and I was like, why don't you believe in ghosts? And he turned back to me and basically went, why don't you believe in God? And I was like, you make a real good point. Like, there's
You
no
got
proof.
me there, baby.
Yeah, I was like, you're right, there's no proof for any of it, so all it is faith. Anyway, I didn't believe in the paranormal for a number of years, and then it was August 2021 that my fiance basically booked us to go on to a ghost hunt, like a local one, with a local events company. And I've got a text message from like some friends the night before of me saying nothing that can't be explained is going to happen, sort of thing. And then some things that I couldn't explain happened. And I was like,
As it should.
I was like, what the fuck? Like, admittedly, I'm not a scientist, and some of it might be beyond my comprehension of what may be natural, may not. But some weird things happened, and I was like, well, hang on a minute, maybe there's something in this. And I've got a hell of a obsessive personality as well. So from that point, I was like, I need to research this as much as possible. And also, it's a way for me and my fiance to spend time with each other, like ghost hunting and stuff, because she's super into it and believes with no basis. But yeah, it was just one of those things where there were some things that happened that I couldn't explain. And then I was like, I want to look into this more because I've got an obsessive personality. And I was like, I want to understand it. And that was like the rabbit hole that led me to a year down the line running a YouTube channel where I go off investigations and reading numerous books about poltergeists and trying to basically unravel everything, and trying to find like commonalities in haunted places and things that keep coming up again and again and again. And there's a couple we've sort of honed in on, which are pretty interesting. But yeah, I think it's one of those things that the more you know, what's the saying? Like the more you find out, the less you know, sort of thing, or the more you learn, the less you know.
Right.
And it's literally that, like from
Now,
discovering. Yeah, Karen.
What's a normal investigation like?
Unfortunately, because we're pretty new, we have to do a lot of them on public investigations, which you're then dealing with the public who have seen something like Ghost Adventures on TV and think it's entirely going to be like that, and it's like it's not. And that's also not the way I want to investigate. The way, if I have my own way, is basically we'll go somewhere, scope the place out, speak to the owners or managers if we can, get their stories, set up locked off equipment in a place that we feel might be active or something, and then we'll go around the location sort of area by area and do some calling out, try some different methods and stuff, and that's pretty much it.
So I got a question. What is it you believe you're investigating? Like, would you believe it's lost spirits, or do you believe it's something else?
I don't know is my honest answer. Like, I know a lot of people think that it is just the spirits of dead humans, essentially. I'm not 100% convinced. Like, in my mind, it could also be that they are humans from a parallel universe, and maybe those areas are where like the veil is thinner between those parallel universes.
Okay.
Or
Because we have to think, just because we perceive it as one thing doesn't mean that's necessarily what it is. So I love that you're open to the idea that, again, just like we used to call, them angels and demons, we call them UFOs now, right? So who's to say that ghosts aren't just echoes of an alternate reality or an alternate dimension?
Yeah, exactly. Who's to say they're not an alternate dimensional or interdimensional
or ultra terrestrial?
Yeah, and it's just like there's certain areas on the planet for whatever reason anomalies happen.
I know you said you don't have an opinion. It's not that you don't have an opinion, it's that you don't know. If you had to guess, what would you lean more towards?
I don't know. Like, I can. So through this process of a year ago getting dragged to a ghost hunt, I also found out that apparently I have some sort of mediumistic qualities.
Now, for anyone who doesn't know, I'm sorry to interrupt, but what is a medium?
Essentially able to communicate with the passed on spirits of people's loved ones. So I can sit in a room and basically I'll go through a process, and then I'll start to get like it's not even like I actually see it properly. It's like a thought image, or it's like it's like a thought or a memory, but it starts to like build up, and I'll start to get a picture of like maybe someone's grandma or someone that they're related to. Or there's been other times where I've been able to describe people's like a good friend's grandma's living room. I was able to describe it down to being like, there's a dark green leather sofa, there's a wooden sideboard, there's small porcelain elephants on the side, you're sat on the floor eating what feels like mini cheddar biscuits. And he was like, you are 100% bang on. I was like, it feels like there's Countdown on the TV. Countdown's a TV show in the afternoon here in England. And she was like, or he was like, yeah, she always watched Countdown, never missed an episode. And this is just me and him. This is me and him sat at his kitchen table, and all I've done is like scribbled on a pad to try and occupy my left brain, to shut off my logicalness.
Now,
anyway.
how is that process for you? Do you just try to do you meditate, or do you go into some sort of meditative state?
Yeah, I try and meditate semi-frequently, because apparently that's one of the ways that you can sort of hone your skills and stuff.
Right.
Other than that, I don't really know. Like, I've kind of started looking into tarot and crystals and stuff like that as well, and I'm not 100% sure on those sort of things, but they all seem to help. But anyway, I massively digress. You were asking about what I think it is. Now, the logical part of me thinks like, well, it could be extra dimensional, or alternate universe or something. And then the mediumship part of my brain that allows me to connect with people's passed on loved ones, it's like, well, how the fuck am I able to do this if it's not the spirits of dead people?
Yeah.
And I'm also not entirely sure if that's not just like some rudimentary level of like mind reading, essentially, as opposed, like, I'm not actually connecting with their spirit, but I'm just able to read their thoughts and memories, and that's where that's coming from, sort of thing. But it's fucking bizarre. I'll be 100% honest with you. Like, a year ago, I didn't believe in anything, and now I'm like,
and now you're full on like communicating
entirely in it. And dude, like, there's been people like, thank you very much, Sam Williams. There's been people I've known for years, and I've said to them like, oh yeah, I'll do a reading for you. And after the reading, we've both just sat back and gone, what the fuck just happened? Like,
right.
I'm there going, I don't know how the hell I'm able to do it, but it's just something I apparently can do.
Dusty, what do you think about the whole paranormal world? What are your experiences with it after, did anything increase after your dramatic UFO encounter? Did anything of reference?
Like I said, I've always been pretty open-minded to these sort of things, and that topic, the paranormal, fascinates me as well, because it opens up so many questions. Like you just said, what are they? What are we even seeing? What are we experiencing? Like you said, like, you're a medium, so like you feel some sort of connection to these past loved ones, these people passed on. So where did they go? Did they get lost in the in-between of going to another place or something like that? It's just like, there's so many questions. Then you have to go into the religious part. Where
well, that's
like,
why I
is
don't.
there a heaven and hell, and did they not get in, or something like
this
that?
This goes back to what we discussed in the last podcast, right? That my belief is, we'll call it the spirit world, where they exist. Time doesn't exist, and location doesn't exist. Hence why I can tap into people's loved ones via Zoom and shit like that. I don't even have to be in the same room as people. I can do it remotely. So time doesn't exist. They're around us all the time, and whenever they want to be called in, boom, they can be called in. The Christian concept of a soul, to me, is consciousness.
Yeah.
I.e., our consciousness. God is a cloud of consciousness, or like a mass consciousness. So it's a collection of multiple people's consciousnesses, and that's why it's sort of all powerful and all knowing and everything else. And potentially our brains aren't where our consciousness lives. They're just receivers for our consciousness. Hence why I'm able to tap into other people's consciousness, essentially, in the way of spirit. And
like the thought of consciousness being like a radio signal,
exactly.
And we're the radio.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. And then like when we die, it's only the death of our physical bodies, and our soul or consciousness will then go off into wherever this other place is, maybe this alternate dimension or something, or higher.
Do you think you can choose to be reincarnated?
I don't think you get a choice in it, but I'm not I'm no expert. I've just heard other mediums basically say that it's at the end of your life, you have a life review, and if you fucked up or didn't do it well enough, you go back to the beginning and have
Right.
another.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Okay.
I think it's like you're on a journey, and if you didn't complete
Yeah.
your journey in the first or second or third time
that's
around, you come back in.
that makes.
And I don't know if I
a good
necessarily
amount
believe
of
in that
sense.
because
Well, I mean, it's just like an idea, and then it's like the whole
Yeah.
thing with enlightenment. Like if you made it, you've become enlightened, you've ascended to a higher place.
yeah, exactly. But I don't think hell exists in any capacity. I think that's
Oh no, not at
bullshit
all.
made up by religion to keep people in check. But I do think
Yeah.
there
We're
is-
probably living in hell. I mean, we're probably living in hell.
Dusty,
Potentially.
you absolutely know that we are not living in hell. We are living in an oasis.
but I do think that the concept of heaven maybe exists in the sense that, like, as I say, when you're in the spirit world, time doesn't exist. You can be anywhere you want, or you can
Yeah.
live out your favorite memories and stuff like that, right? And it's also interesting that, like, almost all world religions have some concept of heaven.
An ascension going up.
Exactly, even when they were developed in different parts of the world at the same time.
Mm.
So it's like, well, is there something more to this? And that's just their interpretation of it. Much like, as I say,
But
me,
they
the soul is
also all
consciousness.
have a hell.
Yeah, but that's maybe hell's like having another go round, or maybe hell is like.
But you can't say there's validity to one, but not the other.
You're 100% right, and I'm only a person and don't know. But in my experience, almost nothing I've tapped into has been like malicious or nasty.
Yeah, I think the notion, so just like, civilizations that didn't have language or words for certain things, I think we label heaven as the next stage after death,
Yeah.
right? Hell is not included because it doesn't exist. It's fake. I believe that 100% it's fake. It was
But then-
definitely created to keep people in check imagine when you didn't have fucking computers and TVs and
Yeah.
fucking and porn. You'd go murder everybody. And they needed a way to keep people in check.
Yeah.
Hence the Bible.
Yes,
but
control, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. So to continue that, so heaven being, let's dub it as the next stage, that spirit world. So there's, much like there's only so much matter, right? Matter can't be created nor destroyed. I think the same goes for the whatever our essence is, like the collective conscious. There's only it's a finite amount, and I don't.
But
It's
saying that there's also theories that heaven isn't one thing. Heaven is basically, or there's levels to frequencies that people live at.
collection.
And one person I spoke to's theory was, let's say in 3 generations' time, no one on Earth is going to know who you are. Generally speaking, none of your family are going to know who you are.
Yeah.
So at that point, when all your loved ones are with you in the spirit world, that's when you can ascend to the higher level, because there's nothing left for you on, say we're level 3 on level 4. So you can go up to level 5, right? I don't know. Working theories, don't know. All I can say is my experience or from my experiences and what I think it is. As I say, the only time I've sort of encountered something that was not necessarily malicious, he was just a dickhead, was when we were on an investigation and I deliberately tried to sort of tap into or channel any of the spirits there. And it wasn't, he wasn't malicious, but he just didn't want to play ball. He'd normally, whenever I've tapped into something, they're more than happy to like come forward, show me who they are, show me what they look like, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And he was sort of like inching forward, giving me a little bit, but then was like, no, I'm not going to play your fucking game. I'm going to do what I want. Like, you're not the boss of me, sort of thing. And again, that could be because that's a spirit tied to a location rather than a spirit that's in the spirit world, for want of a better term.
So how do you justify like a poltergeist? Like there's clearly stories of like malicious
interdimensional entities.
Oh, okay.
Nothing special about consciousness. Check out integrated information theory.
Quite possibly, again, that's a scientific way of explaining something that we probably don't understand.
Well, consciousness, tricky. I thank you for the comment. But I think there is something special about consciousness. But I'm really interested in finding out what integrated information theory is.
It's definitely worth looking into for sure.
What is it?
I'm going to make myself a note. I don't know. I'm going to make myself a note to check it out at some point. Going back to your point, I can't see your name. Was it
Dusty?
Dust. I almost said Dickie. I was like, Dickie. Going back to your point, Dusty, everything I've read about poltergeists is that some people believe they are entities that attach from highly emotional people. So if people are under a lot of stress, it will create essentially an entity that detaches itself, and then it's the worst parts of their being enacting on a place. Poltergeists tend to be person-centric rather than place-centric. So what you see a number of times is the person will move house to try and get away from it, and it does nothing because it's the person that's haunted, not the place.
Yeah.
There's a dude called Keith Linder who allegedly had a poltergeist. I think he's lived in Seattle or something. But he started digging into it and wrote a book all about how quantum physics can start to explain some of the abilities the poltergeists have. And it was fucking fascinating because it's like, he says about like, he was in his living room and a pot plant basically lifted out of the pot into midair, started floating and rotated. And then he's like, obviously this is insane, but then he broke it down and said with certain sound frequencies, humans have been able to make water droplets levitate. And he's like, what if a poltergeist is an interdimensional being that is just obviously way more powerful because it's interdimensional, that is able to utilize these things and do these things? And in terms of like them being able to move stuff from one place to another, in terms of dimensions, so you're a fourth dimensional being, you can reach into the third dimension, take something, pull it into the fourth dimension. Now anyone on a three-dimensional plane will no longer be able to see it. Move it somewhere else, put it back in, and it will appear instantaneous because you're not moving in their dimension from one place to another. You're literally taking it out to where they can't see it and putting it somewhere else.
Yeah, it's like taking it out of frame, basically. Like
yeah.
It's still there. It's just in a different spot.
Yeah, one of the ways it was explained was if you're a two-dimensional being and you've got a table and you cover that table in pieces of paper, then if you're a two-dimensional being, that table is full. But if you're a three-dimensional being, you can then start stacking the paper upwards because you live in this third dimension. But if you're two-dimensional, you can't see that because all you can see is, I can't remember what the first two dimensions are, height and width, I guess. But yeah, that really, really interesting book. And he really went into like how quantum physics can potentially explain a lot of the abilities that poltergeists have, including like quantum entanglement and like Ty spoke about last time of particles acting differently when they're looked at as opposed to when they're not observed.
Isn't that also a theory of how they moved blocks in like the ancient Egypt and shit like that? Like that was one of the theories
by using sound.
They tapped into some sort of frequency that could vibrate things at a high rate.
Yes, that's a theory that is looked at, and it's funny because this has also been mentioned to other people about the three main things. The three things that are the most fundamental are sound, light, and frequency. So that correlating to this theory that the Egyptians had a way, which was also written on the gold tablets, the bronze tablets, that they had the ability to move stones with these chants, using sound and vibration. Right? What?
Or some people believe telepathy, like
telepathy. Yeah,
psychic ability and telepathy is something we've lost over years, and back in ancient Egyptian times, it's something that they had control over, so they could telepathically move things.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that is a profound. Imagine the implication. Imagine if we found out that the ancient Egyptians were so far ahead of us because they didn't have all the distractions of the material world around us, right? They truly focused on the earth, the love for the earth. Using the earth, but also giving back to the earth.
Or that there was more of an approach of not having like a centralized control system
Yeah,
to keep people in
and
line.
sacred. Look at the sacred geometry and the absolutely advanced astronomical and mathematical capabilities that they were aware of.
I'm pretty sure they like learned how to make a rudimentary battery out of like an apple using the acidity of an apple and like
have
metal
you
bronze.
heard about the God, I can't remember where it's from, but it's the like the shit.
Well, there's hieroglyphs of them having like these giant, almost looks like light bulbs. It's like you can see the coil at the bottom and the zigzag in between this, some sort of globe. And it's literally like
The
engraved. I forget where
Baghdad
it is.
battery.
There it is. That's what I was thinking of as well.
So the Baghdad battery is believed to be about 2,000 years old. The jar was found in Kujut Rabu, just outside Baghdad, and is composed of a clay jar with a stopper made of asphalt. Sticking to the asphalt is an iron rod surrounded by a copper cylinder. Now, this only output enough power where you couldn't even power a modern day light bulb. But I mean,
but
who's to
fundamentally
say?
it existed back then.
But it existed.
Scale up and it can.
Yeah.
If they could do that with that, imagine what they could do on a large scale. And we know, like with sacred geometry and these other things, the pyramid is a very, very, not only is it feasible, engineering wise, it's very, it's a very simple model to make work because the base is larger and it gets smaller, so you have no issues with weight distribution and all that. But why were pyramids built all across the world on all continents when we were taught that they had no contact? Why?
Yeah, separate civilizations doing the same thing, and it's like, why? What purpose does it serve? To an extent. And there's another thing as well, right, where they say about Machu Picchu in the way that the blocks at Machu Picchu fit into each other so perfectly to the point they look like they're laser cut.
Yeah. And like that, we modern day couldn't even do what they did with those because there's no mortar, there's no grout, there's no nothing. It's as if they were cut to fit. You can't even stick a razor blade in between. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
And some of these rocks were 70 tons. With that being said, unfortunately, I do have to wrap up the conversation tonight. We are at that hour and 25 mark. I also saw that Mike had to go. Didn't look like Greg was able to fix that internet issue.
No, sadly not.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining in. What are your final thoughts? Final thoughts about just could there be an ancient civilization or a civilization that we cohabitate with, and we don't even know it?
Well, I always had the feeling that we were capable of a lot. Like we have these latent abilities. I feel like that have been laying dormant for the longest time. Like, I don't know. I always had a feeling like we weren't up to our potential. Like we weren't doing what we could be doing. There's something special about us, and there's something that we don't understand anymore. That we had a long time ago. We lost it during that great cataclysm. So I think eventually we'll work our way back up to understanding. But everything we're guessing at right now it's just it. It's a guess. We have no real scientific fact on anything. We can rewrite everything we know tomorrow because we find out something that just completely blows our mind. So
and
keep
by
an
the
open mind is my key.
yeah. And by the way, if we were hit with a cataclysm in a short period of time, like a few hundred to maybe 1,000 years, all of the traces of us would be gone, written, and anything metallic, anything that isn't stone would basically rot away. To say that didn't happen already it's naive. But Mike, what are your final thoughts, and where can they find you on social media?
I definitely agree with Dusty. I think that there's definitely a lot more potential to the human brain, and potentially things like technology and people keeping stupid push us further and further away from that. Where can you find
we
me?
gotta continue this conversation.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Where can you find me? Paramike on YouTube is your best bet. Also Paramike on Facebook. I've got a lot of stuff I want to achieve next year, and hopefully I'll be able to.
Well,
so get in.
If you stick around with me, I can actually, there was something I did want to talk to you about privately.
Yeah, we can have 5 minutes after this, dude, for sure.
All right. Dusty doesn't have social media, so fuck him. All right, guys.
I'm off the grid, man.
Yeah. We'll see you next time, guys. You know we love you.
Catch you later, everyone.
Peace.